May I just start with the most important things first? Thank you. Thank you for being here. We've had over 200 individual visitors to the conference throughout the day, which is quite amazing. Some of the sessions, or at least one of them, was attended by over 100 people. The attendance at the other sessions varied between 60 and 90 people. This is all quite impressive. Can I say a massive thank to all the panelists? You've been amazing guinea pigs for us. We've tested all sorts of technical stuff on you without much preparation on your part. So I'm really, really grateful to all the panelists who at a very short notice stepped in and talked very intelligently and sensibly about what just happened for the last few months and what the future might look like. And I also want to say massive thanks to all Community Southwark staff. They really played a huge role behind the scenes today and in preparation to the conference. It's been a brand new experience for us. Not everything worked out, but quite a few things did. So thank you to you all there in the background. Thanks ever so much. Throughout the day, one thought I had was really how COVID-19 affected us as people. And I think we had a very typical response to any type of emergency, response typical to humans. So it's either fight, flight, or freeze. And I think the people who are here today and the people who've been, responding so tremendously well over the last few weeks and months are the ones who just responded fighting. And they adapted and they changed their ways of operating, and they suddenly stepped in, be it as neighbors or as groups, to offer and address the need and the emergency. And I think there can be really little criticism of someone trying to respond to an emergency and doing their best. I think there was also, a group that potentially froze for whatever reason, because their services that they've been running just couldn't be offered in the new world, or indeed for other reasons. So it's not to criticize them, but just to acknowledge that. Flight, unfortunately, on this occasion wasn't an option, so it wasn't at our disposal. But life knows no gaps, and mutual aid groups and volunteers stepped in where gaps have been created. And I think many of the attendees of today's conference will hope that they will continue to step in. I think as we're looking at the next phase now, is an emergency response. This is where the difficulty arises, because it's not so easy. It requires a bit more thinking, it requires a bit more preparation, and it's not an emergency. So we've seen today and over the last few weeks and months, some of the emerging joint working, but also some of the gaps. I think today issues mentioned included data, usage of different databases, access to spaces and venues where people will be able to continue run services with social isolation rules in place, money, duplication. So there are clearly some challenges, and there's clearly a lot of uncertainty going forward. But even despite that, I think we can be certain of few things. We will know there will be less money. So there is no surprise there. And I think we can safely assume that there will be more and increased competition for funding. It will be a challenge to keep on delivering services with social distancing rules in place. And I think a lot of organizations will have to reinvent themselves. And as it was mentioned at the last session, consolidation and merger within the sector will certainly need to be on the cards. And certainly from our end as Community Southwark, we stand ready to support you with those emerging needs. So please do reach out to us proactively as well. Do ask us questions and do challenge us. And we're very keen to have a very clear understanding of the sector's needs going forward. It was acknowledged earlier on in conversation that not everyone is today in this room, despite over 200 people being here throughout the day. So we know there are a lot of organizations out there whose future is very uncertain, and it's very difficult to speak for those. However, those who are active, I would strongly urge you to respond to the calls that will go out from our end tomorrow to our membership, to attend our networks throughout June. And we will also are aiming to set up a Southwark Voice meeting in June. The plan is for us to have, as we've always had, networks addressing different areas and different needs, where groups working within those areas and needs can come together, and they can select a representative who will stand for them at Southwark Voice, and will then, together with us, speak for the sector with external partners. I cannot stress how highly important it is that we capture the voice of the whole sector, and that people proactively take part in those meetings, so we can actually represent your needs on the ground and share those needs with people in Southwark Council, with funders, with people in the health sector, and everyone else, for the benefit of residents in Southwark. I think those are the main points from me, but I would want to close just on very few technical issues, and if there will be some final questions that I'm able to answer, I will. So on technical issues, there will be, hopefully, as soon as tomorrow, we will be sending out an evaluation survey. So please try to respond to that while the conference is still fresh in your memory. It will take us a bit longer to sum up the conference in a sensible fashion, to share with you all the resources and recordings. So please bear with us. We will aim to do that next week as soon as we can then. And we will be also obviously sharing all the slides and the list of the conference attendees to enable joint working. I'm looking just very quickly at the questions as they've been coming through. I don't think I see anything emerging out of my final session. Can I just thank you again all for all your support prior to the session, throughout the day, and wish you a very pleasant and indeed safe evening. Thank you, take care, and see you soon.